The Night Walkers. I was deep in Kenya's countryside, far from the city, where roads faded into dirt paths, and the land stretched endlessly beneath the burning sky. I had come to witness a rare tribal ritual, one that few outsiders had ever seen. In a small village, I heard whispers of an old legend. At night, the walkers cross the land. They do not show themselves, but they are always moving. Do not look for them. Do not call out to them. They are not human. It sounded like superstition, until that night. The village changed after sundown. Doors were locked, windows shut. Even the lamps were extinguished early. No one walked outside after dark. They sleep early here, I muttered. The village elder shook his head. Night is not for the living to walk. Why not? His face darkened. Because they are crossing. Midnight, I couldn't sleep. The air was cool, the sky wide and cloudless. I stepped outside, drawn by the quiet. At the edge of the village, the vast savanna stretched into the darkness. Nothing moved. Only the wind carried across the dry land. This is ridiculous. Then I looked down, and I froze. There were footprints. Fresh tracks, imprinted in the dry earth, many of them, but I had been outside only minutes ago, and there had been nothing. A chill crept up my spine. The footprints cut across the village in a straight line, like something or someone had passed through. Yet I had seen no one. I turned to head back, and then the wind changed. Shf, shf. Footsteps, not mine. Soft, deliberate, approaching. I held my breath. The sound grew closer, but there was no one there. Shf, shf. The footsteps stopped, right in front of me. I should have been staring at someone standing inches away, but the space was empty. Goosebumps crawled across my skin. I couldn't move. Then my shadow shifted. It bent slightly, as if something was standing beside me. I felt it, a presence, close, watching, and then, right next to my ear, I heard it, a breath. Panic took hold. I didn't dare turn my head, but in the dust below I saw it. New footprints appeared, right where I was standing. Something was standing next to me, and then a whisper. Who are you? I ran. I didn't stop until I reached my hut. I never looked back. Nothing followed. But since that night, my shadow moves just a second too late. The Mud House. I was traveling through Nigeria, drawn to the country's unique mud brick architecture. The traditional houses, built entirely of earth, had an ancient beauty to them, structures shaped by time, wind, and rain. With a local guide, I visited a remote village known for its well-preserved mud houses. The homes here have stood for over a century, the guide explained, leading me through the settlement. The villagers were warm and welcoming, children running past with laughter. But one old man stood apart watching me in silence. When I met his gaze, he spoke, his voice low and firm. Do not enter that house. At the edge of the village stood a darkened mud house. Like the others, it was built of sun-dried earth, but its walls were unnaturally blackened. The door was shut. The windows were small, giving the impression that the house wanted nothing to do with the outside world. Does someone still live here? I asked the guide. He hesitated before answering. Someone used to. And now? Now no one. But I could feel something inside. Would it be all right if I take a look? The guide frowned, but did not stop me. Slowly, I pushed the door open. Creak. A heavy groan echoed through the silence. Inside, it was pitch dark. No light filtered in. And yet, a shadow moved at the back of the room. Hello? The moment I spoke, scrape. Something shifted. The guide inhaled sharply. We should go. Now. But that is not a person. A chill ran through me. The shadow began to move, a slow, dragging motion across the dirt floor. I took a step back. The guide's voice trembled. Do not look at it. But I couldn't stop myself. My eyes lowered. The shadow's feet were sinking into the ground. It had the shape of a person, but it was not human. Its surface was shifting. Not skin, not flesh, just mud. And then, it turned its face toward me. It had no eyes, no nose, no mouth, just a sluggish, shifting form, dripping with thick black earth. Run! The guide shouted. I bolted. Shoving the door open, I stumbled into the light. The guide was right behind me. I turned. The house was silent once more. The doorway was a gaping black void, but just before the door closed on its own, I saw it, a fresh handprint pressed against the mud wall from inside, as if something was trying to push its way out. The White Hill. I was traveling through northern Argentina, deep in the Andean foothills. A remote village stood alone in the dry, thin air, its sun-dried brick houses blending into the land. I had come to study local folklore, stories passed down through generations. The villagers were warm, welcoming, but they all gave me the same warning. Do not go to the White Hill. If you see it at night, look away. Those who walk there are not human. It sounded like superstition, until the night I saw it for myself. The White Hill stood just beyond the village. During the day, it was nothing more than a rocky slope, but at night, the villagers whispered, a figure appeared there. The hill was once a place of sacrifice, the village elder told me, his voice hushed. Even now, the ones who were given walk the land. If you see them, they will see you. That night, I looked out from my window, and I saw it. A figure, standing motionless atop the hill, bathed in cold moonlight. It was human-shaped, but it swayed. There was no wind, yet it shifted, moving slightly, unnaturally. A trick of the light. I leaned forward, squinting, and then it turned toward me. My heart stopped. It was far away, yet somehow I knew it had seen me. And then it began to descend. I could not move. It had been standing atop the hill. Now it was halfway down, then closer and closer, until I realized it was walking toward my window. I tore the curtain shut and threw myself onto the bed. Silence. No wind, no sound. But then, rustling. Right outside. Something was there, moving, just beyond the window. I pulled the blanket over my head. Don't look, don't look. Then, tap. A soft, dry tap against the glass. Then another. Tap, tap, slow, rhythmic, like bones against glass. It wants to come in. I clenched my teeth. I would not move. I would not look. But my hand was reaching for the curtain. Fingertips brushed the fabric. Something inside me needed to look. But just before I could, a pale shape pressed against the curtain. I snapped my eyes shut. The sound of breathing. Close. So close. It had found me. It was right here. I don't know how long I stayed frozen like that. But when I opened my eyes, dawn had come. I hesitated, then pulled back the curtain. Nothing. only an empty, sunlit landscape, except a single white handprint remained on the glass.